two-time NWA World Champion Dan the Beast Severn, also UFC Hall of Famer as well.
I appreciate being on with four-season veterans.
That's right.
Yeah, in fact, it's so seasoned that I've actually seen your early UFC fights. I own them on video, so I wanted to go back a little. I know we've been talking about your upcoming opponent, but I wanted to know a little something about when you were matched up with Ken Shamrock the first time, and give us a little of your thoughts on that fight.
I guess give a little more background to it. When I was first approached by the UFC to do one of these, what was referred to as the super bouts, I was a little bit of mixed emotions because the reality to me is I come from the world of amateur wrestling. And in order to be in, national championships, a world championship, World Cup, Olympic Games, you had to have accomplished something. Usually well, I guess that's just the best way of saying it there. And I hate the dish, but at the time, before he was put into the super bout there with, he did win a match. He was like a runner-up and some other stuff, but I just didn't think that he was deserving at the time. Again, it just how I kind of felt about it. And I even said that to the second, that was the second, it's still the first ownership of the UFC because it's changed hands, 3 different times now. So again, that's some of the history about the UFC that a lot of people don't realize that it was owned first by the Art Davie and Hoyan Gracie, and then it was owned by Bob Meyer from the Civil 4 Entertainment Group, and then the Super team with the Fertitta brothers and Dana White purchased it from him. So I know I'm going off to a little bit different tangents right there, but I think a lot of times you just by understanding a little bit more of the history of it. But, it's like I said, Ken won the first match, I won the second match, and to me there should have been an opportunity for a third rubber match, but that just never played out.
I've always thought that was interesting, one, that we never got to see that third fight between the two of you, and it just also struck me as interesting that both of you have been accomplished in the pro wrestling world as well as the mixed martial arts world. I mean, it almost occurs to me that the rubber match could actually be a pro wrestling match between the two of you.
No, it could have been, and actually, I do believe that was the full intent. The WWF was talking to both Ken and I at the same time. Ken went to work almost 1 year before I did. He basically just like, well, for X amount of dollars, I'm yours. Well, you gotta realize I ended up being their oldest rookie ever when I signed on board, but I did not look my age, nor did I act it. And even when I was in office, when we finally came to terms, I'm in the office with Jim Ross and Vince McMahon, and all the old shaking of the hands, glad hand, all taking place right there. And through some of the conversation, Vince kind of like this inquisitive look. He goes, "Well, how old are you?" And then I told him. Again, I don't even remember what it was at the time. Was it 47, 48? But he's like looks right back at Jim. He goes, "Well, who's the oldest rookie ever?" And then Jim just points right back over to me. He goes, "Well, Dan is." But the difference there was I was the first, and still to my knowledge, the only non-exclusive professional wrestler. I could work for anybody, including ECW and WCW, because they both existed at that time. So, and I think, in the beginning, I was used actually quite well, quite strong, and then I think someone along the way realized, we have no control mechanisms over Dan, and I think that made them nervous to ever want to put a belt on me. They think that, maybe I'd go over to WCW and drop the strap or just portray it in a bad way. And I'm thinking, in a lot of ways, I don't think they really ever knew me or knew the type of person that I am, that I wouldn't do that. You should have seen what I had to go through in just the Ultimate Fighting Championships to have Dennis Carluzzo carry out the NWA belt. The UFC did not want that association whatsoever.
Well, speaking of that, I think it's kind of ironic that when you won the NWA World Heavyweight title again from Shinya Hashimoto, you were actually stripped of the title before the NWA TNA pay-per-view debut, and Ken Shamrock ended up winning that title. So do you feel there's a little bit of irony in that, as I do looking at that fact?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and again, as that old cliche goes, hindsight is 20/20. I mean, it was, the NWA was working with, I forget what other company they worked with, and they were doing these either Tuesday night or Wednesday night pay-per-views. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I used to keep my schedule right up on my website. All of a sudden, whatever, the ticket sales are not going all that well. And like, well, maybe if we throw out a heavyweight title match. And they contact me, can you do it? And I go, no. I said, all you gotta do is look at my website. I've been booked for several months now. I'm going to be I think I was going to be in Texas or something like this, involved in a mixed martial arts match. And, then, okay, now they start the pressure back. I'm like, I go, what you guys don't understand is that I gave my word to another company. I go, my word is better than most contracts, which is kind of sad in today's world that that a handshake and your word means nothing anymore. Everything's got to be triple contract and things of that nature. But and I told them, I said, I cannot be there. And then they go, well, we're gonna have to strip you of the belt. Something. I said, if that's what I do, then fine, I guess. But as I said before, that hindsight is 20. I should have simply said, fine, strip me of it. Send your champion to come collect it.
Yeah,
now, when I turn your world of fantasy into reality, who do you think is going to keep that belt? But that's what Jose's with. It's at the moment, it's kind of like, if you guys don't want me, then I guess I don't want to be gone with you. But I would have done it differently had I had that opportunity to live over